The Feast of Kings, otherwise known as the Mermaid Feast. No one knew the real name of the man who called himself Dr. Lysander Rains, but among the hyper-wealthy elite who followed him, he was a prophet of masculinity, the last true alchemist, and a modern-day Prometheus. He claimed to have cracked the genetic code of myth itself, resurrecting the long-lost mermaids of legend through, quote, precision DNA splicing, ancient Mesopotamian wisdom, and a touch of proprietary magic. It was, of course, all a lie, but the tech bros believed him. For them, belief was easy, provided it came wrapped in the right language. They saw themselves as pioneers, titans, masters of reality. And yet, they were empty men. Their bodies were sculpted in custom biohacking clinics. Their minds were shaped by AI-optimized dopamine loops. They had everything, and yet felt nothing. Dr. Rains promised them meaning. He told them that in the ancient city of men, real men, had feasted upon the flesh of gods and beasts, consuming power itself. To eat a mermaid, he claimed, was to reclaim masculinity in its purest, most untainted form. And so they paid. The price of entry, $10 million, wired discreetly through an encrypted ledger. The location, a secret island far from the eyes of women, governments, and what the tech bros sneeringly called the weaklings of modernity. Only real men could attend. The island of salt and blood. The island itself was paradise, an Eden sculpted for kings. Marble statues of muscular gods towered over manicured gardens, and waterfalls tumbled into crystalline pools lined with champagne. The air was thick with incense, bourbon, and the briny scent of the sea. At the center of all was the feasting hall, an open-air temple lit by torches, where the ritual of took place. There, the mermaids were displayed in golden cages, their shimmering tails twitching under the firelight. They were beautiful in a way that was almost painful to look at, with their long silver hair and eyes like deep ocean trenches. Dr. Rains presented them with great theatricality, a gleam in his eyes as he spun his elaborate myth. Quote, these are not mere animals. They are divine creatures, crafted in my laboratory from strands of legend itself. To eat them is to consume power, to ingest the raw essence of the ancient world. This is the meal of emperors, of conquerors, of men who make reality bend to their will. The tech bros, clad in custom silk robes embroidered with their startup logos, salivated. The mermaids were slaughtered before them, their flesh carved and seared over open flames. Their meat, tender and dripping with fat, was served on gold plates alongside caviar and bone marrow. The billionaires devoured it, eyes wild with ritualistic fervor, convinced they could feel the ancient masculinity seeping into their very bones. Some of them wept as they ate. I feel it, one of them sobbed. I am finally whole. This is the most primal thing I've ever done, another whispered, gripping his fork like a dagger. For hours, they gorged themselves, drunkenly chanting about their own greatness. There were no women to dilute the purity of their feast, no critics, no doubters, just men, real men, consuming what they believed to be the last remnants of myth. Of course, the mermaids were not mermaids. Dr. Rains, ever the showman, had simply found a more cost-effective alternative. The creatures in the cages were genetically altered deep-sea fish, surgically modified to resemble something more human. Their tails, expertly crafted, were the work of a disgraced biologist operating in unregulated black market labs. Their eyes, eerie and soulful, were an unintentional side effect of chemical enhancements meant to keep them docile. They weren't sentient. They weren't even rare. They were farmed like livestock in hidden oceanic facilities, bred and altered at minimal cost. Dr. Rain's profit margins were astronomical. And when the feasting ended, when the tech bros lay bloated and delirious, he would raise a glass to his own brilliance, watching as they proclaimed themselves the true inheritors of masculinity, oblivious to the absurdity of it all. Then, with a smirk, he would quietly excuse himself. By the time the first rays of dawn touched the island, he was already gone. Another 10 million per guest deposited into his offshore accounts. Another ritual successfully completed. And back in the real world, far from the self-styled gods of Silicon Valley, he laughed. He laughed. He laughed. All the way to the bank. Well, thank you for joining me on my latest short story. You can read more, find out more about my art at my website, tfhcalifornia.com. That's tfhcalifornia.com.